What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Locks DFS NBA Breakdown. My name is Narang. I'm from LocksDFS.com, and I'll be breaking down this four-game main slate for Tuesday, December 10th on both DraftKings, FanDuel, and PrizePicks. Wow, it feels so good to be making content. I know I'm not going to talk too much about it. I've just been battling some serious laptop issues. My battery was just been shot for the past 2 weeks. Every time I had it plugged into the charger, it would just slowly die. And every time I tried to record a video, it would die even faster. So I literally couldn't record a video for these past like 2-3 weeks. But those issues are sorted out now. Battery should stay at 100%, hopefully. So all these content videos, I'm so excited to be making content again. It really is a lot of fun for me. So these NBA videos are coming back. Addy's Action, I know I'll be getting a ton of messages about that. That is also coming back to close out NFL season. Really looking forward to that. But yeah, let's jump into it. So if you do want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so right here. It's at ReallyAddy on Twitter. You can follow Locks at LocksDFS. And if you want to join the team and get yourself a pass, all you got to do is go to locksdfs.com and get yourself an NBA pass for this season. The NBA season's still fairly young. We still got, over like 2/3 of the season still left to go. Tons of money to still be made out there. So if you guys are interested, sign up over there. You get access to our private member Slack chat where we discuss the slate every single day, as well as our lock sheet where we go over our favorite plays, cash plays, value plays, GPP plays. We give them grades, we give them rankings, we color coordinate them. It's all very pretty, very beautiful stuff. So if you are interested in that, head over to locksdfs.com for that. And as you guys may remember, we have been partnered with PrizePicks. So we're going to start bringing you guys some PrizePicks content as well. We're going to put out a few tweets about it here in the next couple days that give you a little bit more details about it. But essentially, if you guys want to play over at PrizePicks, well, first off, if you don't know what PrizePicks is, it's this actually really cool new DFS website where you essentially just bet on player props. So I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with sports betting, but player props are really one of the most profitable things you can bet on. So much so that if you bet on player props like consistently at Vegas or at a sports book or at an online sports book, you'll eventually get your account restricted because they are profitable. Player props are typically viewed as a way to incentivize people to bet on their sports book and bet on like money lines and spreads, which are typically much more difficult to beat. Player props, they can be pretty beatable. So PrizePicks is a site that specializes in player props. They got a bunch of sports available, as you can see on my screen right now, and you essentially just pick players. Like let's say, let's talk about this slate. Kendrick Nunn down here. 27.5. This is FanDuel NBA scoring. So 27.5. My projections have Kendrick Nunn at around 32 fantasy points. So you're getting instant value right here. So let's say I like Kendrick Nunn to put up more than 27.5. Similarly with RJ Barrett, I have him around 30 fantasy points as well. So I'm looking at good value over here. And let's just leave it at this. You can obviously go up to 5 players, but let's just leave it at 2 for now to keep it simple. And we hit go. You get to place, any sort of entry amount that you want up to a certain amount. Like 2-pick entries, you can only place up to $400, which should be plenty. But 2-pick entries essentially pay 2.5 times your money. 3-pick entries pay 5 times your money. 4-pick entries pay 10 times your money. Then you just select over or under on their fantasy points. So I like the over on both these guys. So I would place like $25 to win 6,250, or I would place $100 to win 250. It's a really cool site. I think it's definitely beatable. And it's also just a fun way to sweat DFS. It's like if you're playing on DraftKings and FanDuel and you got 100% exposure to these two guys, maybe you throw the over on it as well and kind of go all the way with them. Something like that. I think it's a fun site. I do play here myself. So if you guys want to check it out, go ahead and sign up using promo code LOCKS. I talked to the guys over at PrizePicks. They said that they will hook up all new depositors with a 25% match and a free 2-pick flex to win $25. So you could play these two guys right now if you sign up using promo code LOCKS. You can play these two guys, for free and win up to $25. I also talked to them about returning customers, guys who have already signed up. using code LOCKS. If you haven't played on PrizePicks since November 6th, they will also hook you up with the same deal. 25% match on your deposit and a free 2-pick flex to win $25. The only catch here is you do have to reach out to support to get that. They're working on a way to automate that, but for now you're gonna have to reach out to support because only the new depositors, it'll be automated and you'll get that promo match and the 2-pick flex right off the bat. So go ahead and check it out. We're going to be talking more about PrizePicks in these videos because it's just a fun site. It's a good way to play DFS and get some sweat in. So with that all being said, let's jump into this slate. It's a 4-game slate, so I'm going to talk briefly about each of the games individually and some of my favorite plays in these games. So starting off, we got Charlotte and Washington. Anytime you see Washington on an NBA DFS slate, you're going to have to attack that. Washington is a team that is just so good for fantasy basketball. They're second overall in pace in the league, and they have the worst defensive rating in the league. That's all you really need to know. So all their games are going to feature, one of the higher over-unders on the slate. Tonight is no different. They have the highest over-under on the slate by 6 points over the New York-Portland game. And they got a lot of fantasy viable players here. I think both Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier are in play in the backcourt. I think Miles Bridges is projecting as one of the better values on the slate. Even a guy like Nick Batum can see over 30 minutes. He's not a great fantasy point per minute guy like he used to be. But, if he sees anywhere from, 25 to 30 minutes, he's definitely in play. He doesn't correlate well at all with Miles Bridges, so I would never play both of these guys in a lineup. And Nick Batum is much more suited for GPPs, even though he kind of lacks that upside. He does have low ownership, and he doesn't cost you too much, and it's a good matchup for him in a high-paced spot. But I definitely prefer Miles Bridges as a cash game play here. The center situation's a little bit sticky. Both these guys, like Cody Zeller plays 21 minutes a game. Biombo's around 10 to 15 minutes a game. So I kind of just avoid both of them for the most part. And I think P.J. Washington at 5'9" is a pretty fair price. As well as on FanDuel, I think his price over here is pretty fair too at 6'3". He's been avoiding foul trouble. He's probable for this game with an ankle injury, but he's been avoiding foul trouble recently, which sort of will put him in a little skid earlier. So I think for this price, he's in play in a good rebounding matchup, good pace matchup, good matchup for scoring as well. On the flip side of this, I think it's the usual guys. Thomas Bryant is still out. So Mo Wagner, he's going to be playing, upwards of 30 minutes. He's a high fantasy point per minute guy. Rui Hachimura, we're going to see him push 40 minutes a game like usual. Davis Bertans, this guy's been shooting the ball like crazy recently, having shots of 16, 16, 20, and 13. Playing over 30 minutes combined, or averaging over 30 minutes in all 3 of these games. He's in play as well. I think a lot of exposure to this Washington-Charlotte game is probably going to be a popular play. It's something that I'm going to be right in line with as well. Moving on to this Atlanta-Miami game, we have the usual suspects out for Miami, Justice Winslow and Goran Dragic. That's going to open up the obvious value plays in Kendrick Nunn, 5.4K. Think he's just too cheap. I think his player prop is way too low on PrizePicks, and I think he's just too cheap on FanDuel as well. At 4.9K, I mean, that's just kind of ridiculous. So he's going to be one of those, free squares in everyone's lineup. A guy like Tyler Herro, though, he makes a lot of sense as well. He's been a sort of low-owned pivot to Kendrick Nunn the past 2 games, and he's outscored him in both. His price has subsequently come up to 5.9K, but I still think that's a pretty fair price. I mean, he's going to see anywhere from 30 to 35, maybe even pushing 40 minutes, like he did in this Chicago game. He shoots the ball a ton, and he's a much better rebounder than people give him credit for, which kind of boosts his floor as well. It's a great matchup versus Atlanta, a team that, if you guys remember when the season started, they were way down here in pace at like 24th, 23rd. But so far, they've shot up to 11th, and I anticipate that going even higher. So it's a good pace-up spot for this Miami team. And I think this is another game where we could definitely target some of these Miami backcourt guys and get some value out of them as well. Moving on to the Denver-Philly game. This will be the least targeted game. I'll probably spend the least amount of time talking about this game. There's only one real viable play that I see for me, and that's probably Will Barton at 5.5K. I think his price is just a little bit too low. I think he's more of a 6K player, so you're getting a little bit of a discount on him. But, these are 2 teams that if we just filter by defensive rating, The Nuggets are second best in the league and Philly's fourth best in the league. The Phillies 17th overall in pace. The Nuggets are 28th overall in pace. It's not really a fantasy-friendly matchup. The total reflects that at 208.5. And then if you want to play someone on the Philly side, I think the guy's going to be Joel Embiid for me. He's definitely got a tough matchup versus Nikola Jokic, who is a good defender. But I think on a slate that sort of lacks the high upside studs that we're used to, it's got good players in Trae Young, Jimmy Butler, Damian Lillard, etc. But it sort of lacks the Hardens and the Giannis's and the LeBrons and Anthony Davises that we're used to. So I think a guy like Joel Embiid may be as close as we get to that as far as slate breaking upside. He definitely has that, and at 9.5K, you're not really paying too much of a premium for him as well. So if you do want to play someone in this game, maybe you could take a shot on him at fairly low ownership. And that'll bring us to our last game, the Portland, New York game. This game, it's got a rising over/under, open at 218.5. It's since been bet up almost 4.5 points at 223. We got 9-point underdog New York at Portland, but I think there's a lot of value on these Knicks. They're projecting some of the best value on the slate. R.J. Barrett at 5.5K, probably just too cheap, as is Marcus Morris at 5.3, and as is Julius Randle at 6.4. You hope that New York keeps this game close. If they do keep it close, the bright side is that they do have a fairly concentrated rotation, so that they'll keep it close on the backs of primarily these three guys. So I think all three of them are super viable value plays. Like I mentioned, I do like the over on the R.J. Barrett PrizePicks prop. I also like the over on the Julius Randle PrizePicks prop while we're at it. I believe it was 31.5. Yeah, I like the over on that. I think you could even take the over on Mitchell Robinson. I think a lot of these Knicks guys are underpriced and undervalued. It's a pace-up spot for the Knicks. They rank, I believe, like 28th overall in pace. But Portland, they are 9th overall. They've been slightly worse defensively with Carmelo Anthony in the lineup, as is to be expected. They're 22nd overall in defensive efficiency. So this could be, a fairly high-scoring game. Vegas likes it to be fairly high-scoring. And if the Knicks keep it close, you're most likely to find some of your best value on this New York Knicks side of things, which kind of feels weird to say, but, it's a 4-game slate. If you want to run it back with some Portland, Carmelo Anthony strikes me as fairly cheap on both sides at 5.6K. Kent Bazemore got a price hike in the absence of Rodney Hood. He did play 36 minutes, but he only put up 21 fantasy points. I don't think he's that good of a fantasy point per minute player with so many guys that shoot the ball on the court. I'd honestly prefer him coming off the bench just because when he's starting alongside Lillard, McCollum, and Melo, there's just not enough shots to go around for a guy like Kent Bazemore. So you're really hoping he gets there on the backs of like defensive statistics, etc. But for the rest of this, I think Damian Lillard is still fairly priced at 8.8K. I think Melo's fairly priced at 5.6, and I think a decent amount of exposure to this game as well, the Washington-Charlotte game. It's probably the way that I'm going to go about my builds tonight. So appreciate you guys checking this out. With that all being said, that will do it for this video. Always appreciate your guys' support. Sorry I haven't been making content for the past couple weeks. Happy to be back making content for y'all. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like. Please do leave a comment. You guys know we run that same giveaway that we're going to be running again, where we give away a free NFL or NBA season pass to anyone who wants it. All you got to do is leave a like, leave a comment, make sure you're subscribed, and you'll be entered into winning that. So appreciate you guys. Christian will see you guys for the Wednesday video tomorrow, and I'll see you after that. Peace.